I'm single, which means that in theory, each day presents the opportunity to get laid by someone new. I don't usually take advantage of this perk of being single in my everyday life, mostly because I've deemed New York City's entire male population to be utterly unfuckable. I am, however, much more open to the possibility of hooking up when I'm traveling. Plus, it's basically a fact that being an out-of-towner has a certain appeal to local dudes who are terrified of any possibility of commitment. Here are some types of travel hookups that you're likely to experience at some point in your life, with some examples from my own. Number 1, the completely public, on the street, who gives a fuck if my friend is taking photos makeout session. I really hope you got this one over with in your early 20s, like I did at Mardi Gras in New Orleans in 1999. By the way, what hairstylists now call ombre and charge top dollar for, I called a very bad box dye job. 2, the sex you book in advance along with your hotel and rental car. Whenever I'm headed out to Los Angeles for work, I always make sure to text a friend of mine in advance to make sure he's going to be around, because he's a friend who happens to also put his penis inside me whenever we're in the same zip code. Thus, a work trip becomes a pleasure trip and I don't even have to pay for it. Score. 3, the sort of threesome. Now, I like guarantees, which is why I book sex in advance when I can. But what do you do if you've suddenly got both prearranged sex with one person and unexpected sex with another person, you know, one of those locals who can't resist the way you refuse to turn right on a red, on your travel itinerary? Juggle, girl, it can be done. Hell, it took a little bit of wheeling and dealing, but I once managed to have sex with 2 people, one planned and one unplanned, in the span of 12 hours while traveling. I felt sort of slutty about it, but then I was like, well, this is sort of like having a threesome, only separate, and that somehow rationalized away any ickiness I might have felt. But for the love of God, don't forget the condoms. 4, hooking up with the help. During a post-graduation trip to Italy, my friend and I saved money by staying at hostels. When we checked into one such establishment, I noticed that the guy behind the desk was not only young and cute, but had actually winked at me. The following morning, it happened again. When he winked for a 3rd time, I figured that either he had a persistent problem with his eye or he was coming on to me. When my friend went out for the evening, with a guy she was having unexpected travel sex with, FYI, the winker and I got to talking. Then he went in for the kill. "Shall I show you the roof deck?" he offered. "Normally it is closed at this time of night, but I have a key." I have a key turned out to be code for, I want to go down on you under the Italian moonlight for 45 minutes and I won't even expect a blowjob in return. 5, sex with someone you know and never talk about again. What is it about leaving the confines of your usual stomping grounds that makes suddenly hooking up with someone you know okay? A few years ago, I visited some friends upstate and gave a ride to a super hot friend of theirs who I'd met a handful of times. Late one night, we were the only ones still awake, and somehow I found myself giving him the world's quietest blowjob. Hey, moans and groans carry in those old houses, okay? The next morning, I snuck out of his room, and we never spoke of it again. What happens upstate stays upstate. Until I talk about it on the internet, that is. Anyway, that's all for now. Don't forget to subscribe to our YouTube channel and come back next week for part 2 of travel hookups you're likely to have.